After stealing our hearts by tying us down on a chair and threatening us with a baseball bat the moment we arrived in 4.0, we physical team players had to wait over a month with Rosalind's banner to finally welcome Anka in 4.1. Let's cut to the chase and see who this thief girl actually is by reviewing her kit and her potential team comps together. Anka's shatter is excellent at 16, but her charge is mediocre at only 8. However, the physical team currently doesn't need charge, so Anka's shortcomings can be completely ignored. Anka's weapon, Poppin Stick, can serve both as a main DPS and a sub DPS, performing well in both roles. The bulk of her DPS relies on the passive effects gained after releasing the second part of her skill, making her a very simple character to use. Additionally, as of Anka's release in 4.1, the entirety of 2.0 Vera's roster has been added to standard, so good support weapons for the physical team like Ganono can now be had for free or at the cost of $5 if you choose to buy the adventure pack and use the standard selector box. For new players in 4.1, choosing the physical team is definitely the right way to go. Anka's baseball bat is a physical flame weapon with the passives Armor Dissolve, Fizz Flame Fusion, both physical and flame resonance, and detachment, which deals dot damage after skill cast, all similar to previous weapons with the same effects, which I won't elaborate on anymore. Regarding basic attacks, since Anka's main damage comes from the passive triggered after skill release, her basic attacks all have relatively low multipliers. However, the animations are really cute and great for posing for the camera if you're into that type of endgame content. Then, we have the branch attack, triggered by holding after a basic attack, giant candy combo, where Anka picks up her baseball bat and smashes the ground continuously until you let go. This is the most satisfying attack in her kit. Too bad it is not as good as the basic attack chain in terms of DPS, and you're forced to stand still, but it's still very meme-worthy to run around and use in the open world. Anka's charge attack involves charging up her weapon, increasing the bat's size damage and knockback over time. Very fun to use against other players and mobs in the open world eating them across the map, but again, not meta relevant. Anka's aerial plunge attack is just another funny looking mobility tool as usual. This time, the attention to detail on the animations from the devs add a nice touch, with her losing her balance if she spins for too long. Anka's dodge attacks are divided into directional and non-directional types, dealing about the same DPS. Both also have a ridiculously long distance target locking gap closer. You can mix and match whichever one in your rotation for style points, but the directional one is slightly faster to do and better for meta purposes. Anka's skill is a chargeable 2-stage skill. During the charging period, damage taken is reduced by 50%. Just tapping the skill triggers the first stage, dealing 500% damage around her. Holding it for 2 seconds triggered the second stage, dealing an additional 1000% damage, boosting final damage by 12% and inflicting a 16-second chaos effect on the enemy, causing 400% damage per second. During the chaos, when we do basic attacks or dodge attacks, there is a 30% chance of triggering the heavy attack passive, dealing 800% damage, which seems like a lot of RNG, but with a 6-second cooldown between triggers and our fast hits, this damage is pretty much guaranteed to happen as long as we keep attacking the target. Anka's Discharge skill functions like all other weapons by clearing negative effects, dealing damage, and grinding some iframes. Not relevant in a meta rotation since it doesn't have additional effects, so we can safely jump cancel it. The animation, however, is quite cute with her tongue out making a funny face. Again, great for taking photos with your character or other simulacras. Let's move on to Anka's stars. The 1-star effect looks good, but the short duration of the chaos effect and the inability to sustain heavy attacks limit its effectiveness, providing a very minimal total increase to DPS. The 3-star effect this time, however, is crucial for a smooth DPS rotation, eliminating the need for holding the skill to charge at stage 2 and saving 2 seconds per rotation. Highly recommended for your sanity, as forgetting to hold your skill results in a 20-second DPS loss as you wait for the cooldown to come back up. Also, there's the coveted Ignore Resistance passive here as well, making her 3-star that much more valuable. It's been a while since I've recommended any stars for weapons, but this right here is really a quote-unquote must in my book. But like always, you can also just get used to her nuances and remember to hold her skill every rotation and completely ignore me. The 5-star effect reduces boss aggro and damage, maybe so you can prevent tank role conflicts and team raids. No idea what the purpose of this effect is even for, as tanks would just taunt for aggro anyways. Finally, the 6-star effect, as usual, is a straightforward damage boost increase on her skill, for whales to enjoy leaderboard PvP with. Get if whale. Now, let's take a look at our matrices. The 2-piece set simply increases physical attack, and a crap ton at that. Perfect for flexing on your stats page. Note that again, there is no flame attack here, and we are definitely past that phase where matrices benefited both elements. The exclusive effect of the 2-piece set is a minor multiplier bump to her heavy attack passive. The permanent 4-piece set effect is a simple final damage buff, which does benefit all other elements, which is pretty good. Her exclusive effect is reducing the trigger interval of her Chaos Dot effect by half, effectively doubling the passive's damage. And also, there's a passive crit damage increase when her weapon is equipped, because why not? In terms of Simulacra trait, all teams using Anka's weapon should use Anka's trait, but if you insist on using Yemiao or even Zeke as the main DPS, then their respective traits should be used, I guess. For Relic selection, since Anka's optimal rotation is 20 seconds, which doesn't match well with Koan's 30-second burst rotation, we instead use Dice and Overdrive Shot for the Relic. For global players, the usual suspects of the Elastic Heart, Bubble Gun, Overdrive Shot, Mask, or Control Gun should all work. For the free-to-play, without Battle Pass relics, just stick to your Kant and Shield or Rift. Anka's weapon is dead simple to use. Basically, all you need to worry about is just landing her second stage skill. When used as the main DPS, buff first with the 2 other weapons, charge Anka's skill to the second stage, then release it, then hit enemies however you want, preferably with her basic 5-hit combo, mixed in with directional dodges. In the background rule, simply charge and land the second stage skill, and swap to the main DPS weapon to do basic attacks. Just remember to apply all buffs prior to Anka's skill, as you don't want to lose any seconds of her Chaos DPS window. Here's a quick demonstration of the meta team consisting of Yemiao, Asuka, and Anka in action. First, start with Yemiao's skill. Then as soon as you see the feathers on her head, you switch to Asuka and use her skill. The moment your skill goes on cooldown, you switch to Anka and use her skill. Hold if need be, and land the stage 2 skill. Then, spam directional dodges to consume all of Yemiao's feathers as fast as possible. Then do basic attacks while waiting for Yemiao's skill to go off cooldown. The moment it does, you switch back to Yemiao and repeat the cycle, making sure to jump cancel every discharge. And that's it for her rotation. The same logic can be applied to every other buffing weapon when played with Anka, so I won't be going over other rotations. Finally, let's talk about other Anka teams for those players that missed the collab and don't have Asuka, or new players still getting by with standard weapons. We start off with the ideal team with Anka as the main DPS weapon, with alternative main DPS weapons being Asuka or Yemiao if you really insist. For buffing or off-field DPS weapons, the best choices are Asuka and Yemiao again, but any buffing weapon can be a good alternative, like Nayan, Zeke, Plotty, Fiona, Ganono, Umi, Lin, Lyra, Claudia, or Tsubasa. Just pick any 2 from the list and you're good to go. For flame mains, or any mains for that matter, that really like the character, she can work to some degree on your team since her skill does buff final damage. Just remember that her damage will still be physical and her 2 set matrices only buff physical attack, so she's less ideal than your own main element weapons. For matrices setups, again, the most optimal is everyone using their own 4 set matrices, but if you don't have other limited matrices and only pulled for Anka 4-piece, you want to put her 4-piece on any weapon that's not the main DPS, since the matrices effects work completely in the background. If you didn't pull for her 4-piece, any background matrices from the below list can be put on your 2 background weapons, 2+2-piece Altered, Asuka, Plotty, Yemiao, Zeke, Fesa, Liuho, Ganona, Lan, Umi, Ana, Scylla, Habola, or Shira. For the main DPS weapon, you should use your typical main DPS setup, 2-piece Lyra plus 2-piece Samir. Alternative 2 pieces include any relevant 2-piece limited, or Shiro, Crow, Cobalt, Habo, or Scylla. Overall, Anka as the first post-version 4.0 physical team character is pretty strong with simple and very straightforward mechanics, focusing on landing her skills, then brute force Unga Bunga bonking. We can pretty clearly see the pattern for physical weapons being the new one replacing the old one as main DPS, while the old retreats to the background as a buffer. And their playstyle is always just skill first on all 3, then spam attacks. Do you like this type of cookie cutter meta design for physical, or are you maybe skipping and saving for the altered character coming up next instead? Let me know in the comments below. All I can say is that she is very fun to play, especially for me as I like to mess around in the open world. That's it for this kit review. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more. Good luck and have fun on her pulls.